What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 81 of my full playthrough of Batman Arkham Knight on the PlayStation 4. When we last left off, we had read the first half of the Gotham City stories in this game just because, it's useful information and it's kind of cool because it gives us information from all three games. So we only got through half of them in the last part, so we're going to read the other half now, and then in the next part we can finally finish this game by confronting Scarecrow once and for all. So let's go back into the menu. So here's where they are. So we read all of these. So now we gotta read these ones. So let's start with fixation. Alright, so it says, "I do not allow him visitors," Warden Sharp spluttered angrily as Batman walked past. "It's not a social call." Inside the cell, harsh fluorescent bulbs bounced their light off the sterile white padded walls. "It's really you're here." The cell's straight-jacketed occupant flung himself from the corner of the room until he was slobbering, weeping at Batman's armored boots. "I'm so glad it's you, Bats," Joker sobbed. "They think I'm mad." Batman kicked upwards, flipped the maniac onto his back, and brought the foot back down to pin him there. "3 dead, all children. You've been locked up here since Blackgate." Batman pushed down, ribs cracked. "Tell me now." The sudden violence, the guttural sound of Batman's roar surprised them both. Batman backed towards the door, appalled. Suddenly freed, Joker rolled on the floor, hysterical. "I knew it," he giggled. "I knew you cared." Batman drew his cape around himself, pushed the anger, the sudden self-disgust back down. "You got out, Joker. How?" "Maybe I'm mad." Joker scrambled backwards, leaned against the wall. "Because this is the first I'm hearing of it." He paused then and spoke with sickening sincerity. "I didn't kill your kitties. And you don't need excuses to drop by." When Sharp returned with security, Joker was alone, grinning ear to ear. "I'm in his head, Sharpie." I'm in his head. I don't know what that means, but interesting. "Change of heart. More guns, Mr. Wayne," said Lucius, eyeing the proposed specifications for the new Batmobile. "Oh, this'll be nice." They were in Lucius's office, Bruce's office, technically, though Lucius spent most time here. Bruce had turned up dutifully for the biannual departmental heads meeting at Wayne Tech. Lucius had watched Bruce work the room, smiling and shaking the hands of senior technicians, biochemists, engineers, software security experts, making just enough informed conversation with Lucius's chief systems engineer to impress yet not shock her. And then he and Bruce had retired here. Lucius doubted anyone else had noticed Wayne favoring his right leg as it recovered from whatever he subjected it to the night before. "Can you do it?" Bruce asked. All the easy charm from the meeting room was gone. It would seem like unfriendliness to a casual observer, Lucius thought, but it was the opposite. Bruce did his friends, the people he trusted, the honor of not pretending. Lucius smiled. It wouldn't be easy. Wayne Tech had been out of the arms industry for a while, could claim the guns for testing materials when he made the order, he reasoned, and do all the prototyping alone. "Why the change of heart, Mr. Wayne?" Lucius, always the pragmatist, had long campaigned for a more offensively equipped Batmobile just in case. Bruce had resisted him until now, but ever since Joker died, his employer had been Not aggressive exactly. Lucius couldn't quite identify the change. Just in case, Bruce said as he left the room. Oh, so he upgraded this Batmobile because Joker died? Interesting. Down the rabbit hole. Oh, great. The shears chipped and rusted blades squeaked open, narrowly missing the neck as they collected a soft clump of blonde hair. There, pretty, don't move an inch. These bolted daggers smite more than a pinch. In return, a whimper stifled beneath thick duct tape. Hatter's grubby fingers gripped and squirmed around the cutter's oversized ears, one in each hand. Squinting, his tongue curled up in concentration. A pile of butchered wigs lay tossed behind him. This was the last one, and it had to be a success. In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's hope it's just hair that falls to the ground. Like a crocodile's bite, the shears clapped shut, followed by the thudded wobble of a stool as Hatter hopped down onto the floor to gauge his work. Fraptuous. What a win. Now for the hairs on your chinny chin. Hatter placed the shears down and picked up a cutthroat razor, delicately fanning out the blade as he turned to face his terrified creation. Queen-like and flanked by a row of defiled mannequins, he couldn't get over how well the blue dress fit the man's slender frame. But then that's why he chose him. He'll do for now, Hatter thought, until someone better came along. Someone just like his Alice. Okay, so he used a human being as a mannequin to try on a dress for Alice. Interesting. White Noise. Ooh, this is about Kirk Langstrom. Dr. Kirk Langstrom surveyed the miracle of evolution splayed out on the table for him. Desmodus rotundus, the common vampire bat. It was perhaps the most magnificent creature he'd ever studied up close, aside from Francine, of course. Langstrom dialed up the volume on the sound system and shut his eyes, letting Brahms' Third Symphony swell in his ears. The music conjured memories of happier times with his beloved wife before his diagnosis, before the rot set in. He's got a diagram of his ear and a vampire bat on the board, sensitive to low-frequency acoustics, progressive loss of auditory range. Huh. The tinnitus had been subtle at first, like the low hum of a refrigerator in another room, a mildly irritating whine he couldn't quite place yet couldn't quite ignore. So he has tinnitus? Where do you get that from? I don't know. As the weeks went on, the noise grew overwhelming, until Kirk could hear nothing else unless he concentrated hard enough. The doctor's words, however, had been loud and clear. Kirk's affliction was rare, chronic, and irreversible. Interesting. The thought of never enjoying his favorite symphonies again was agonizing, but it was Francine's voice he would miss the most, the subtle inflection she adopted when she teased him, and the way she laughed as though the little girl inside her had never grown up. Kirk wasn't prepared to let all that go without a fight. He was a man of science, and science would find a way. The answer, Kirk knew, was staring at him from the dissection table. Oh, the vampire bat? Yeah. Legacy. Bruce gripped his father's hand as the elevator rocketed skyward. Confined spaces still made him anxious, but his father provided comfort. Just as he did all those nights, Bruce would wake screaming, paralyzed by fear, reliving the moment he found himself trapped inside the dank, bat-infested cave beneath the grounds of the manor. He breathed a sigh of relief when the elevator finally slowed to a halt and the doors opened into Thomas Wayne's plush new office at the summit of Wayne Tower. "Take a look, son," his father said, leading Bruce to the vast windows overlooking Gotham's smug-shrouded skyline. The boy pressed his palms against the cold glass and felt a dizzying rush as he gazed down at the miniature city below. "Gotham's been good to us, Bruce, and we have a responsibility to give something back. This tower's just the beginning of our legacy, a legacy I hope you'll continue long after I'm gone." Bruce looked up to meet his father's eyes. The thought of losing him had never crossed the young boy's mind, and suddenly Bruce was back in that cave alone. The piercing screech of bats filled his ears. Prodigal. You name it, we'll freeze it. Bloodhaven. Nightwing grappled to the warehouse roof and secreted himself in darkness. He chased the truck here on foot and was using a technique Bruce had taught him to control his breathing. A plume of steaming breath could easily give away his position to the guards with a skylight. Not that they sounded very observant. "I hate this stinking place. Give me Gotham any day," the first thug said. "Yeah, sooner we get back there the better," his buddy replied. Nightwing was well aware of his adopted city's shortcomings. He just didn't need to hear it from these goons. He considered taking them out, sneaking further inside. No, best to do this clean. Still, no way we could get away with something like this with Batman around. Who we gotta worry about here? Nightwing? He's like baby Batman. Two electrified eskrima sticks bounced up and struck the base of both skulls, cutting their laughter short. That nerve was as raw as the day he left the manor. Bruce had sent him away like a parent packing a teenage son off to college. He wasn't grown up yet, not in Bruce's eyes. Looking down through the angled glass, scores of men were busy at work, hundreds of crates, thousands of guns. The operation was bigger than he thought, and it was headed back to Gotham. "You missed this one, Bruce. This college kid was going home." That must be Penguin's guns and Penguin's men. Masquerade ball. Screw Dad and screw Bruce Wayne. Barbara walked through Wayne Manor, dropped the mask and cape from her masquerade ball outfit. She should have guessed that the other people would have had the bat idea too. Not that it mattered. Whatever she wore, she'd still be 20 years younger than everyone there. She'd rather Dad started dating again than drag her into these things. At least she had her laptop. She just needed an access point that wasn't buried beneath 15 layers of paranoid rich guy encryption. The library, maybe? Barbara pulled back the huge oak door and slipped into the room, set her computer on the desk, and... Damn it. We're not all billionaires, Bruce. Some of us need to check we haven't been outbid on that new pair of eskrima sticks. In fact, Barbara decided, didn't rich guys like Wayne owe people like her a little unauthorized net access from time to time? She used the program she'd written to crack GCPD's network the time Dad left her sitting in an interview room during Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. It was fast, and it found hidden networks too. Not that Bruce Wayne would need many of... What was Entrance 6? The signal was strong, close by, even stronger than the library wireless. In fact, Barbara thought, as she tore its defenses apart, she felt it before she heard anything, a cold gust of air as the bookcase behind her disappeared. Oh, this is how she found the entrance into Batman's little secret thing in the bell tower. Interesting. Payback. Cobblepot Manor's Penguin. Penguin yelped as his foot broke through a sodden floorboard. Moments later, one of his bodyguards burst into the room, brandishing a pistol. I heard a scream. He saw Penguin trying to extricate himself. "Boss, what's wrong?" "What does it look like?" The bodyguard scrambled to find words. He hoped it wasn't a trick question. "Never mind," Penguin barked. "Just help me." Holstering his gun, the bodyguard heaved Penguin free and started brushing the watery pulp from his trousers. "Get out of it," Penguin snapped, finding his balance against the windowsill. Over there, looming above Gotham's latest monstrosity, Wayne Plaza. "This is my old man's study," Penguin proclaimed. "It'd kill him if he had to see that poxy thing day and night." Cobblepot Manor had been derelict for years, left to rot, in Penguin's mind just the way Bruce Wayne wanted it, a permanent reminder of defeat. The bodyguard was tugging at a strip of wallpaper. "So I guess we wait for the compensation, huh?" "Not likely." Penguin scooted back to the broken floorboard, dropped to his knees, and plunged his arm into the hole. "You think I'm waiting around for Gotham City to cough up? You got another thing coming." With that, he pulled out a yellowing wad of paper, the deeds to a company operating out of Bloodhaven, North Refrigeration. Penguin pocketed his ace and lit a cigar. "Don't count the Cobblepots out yet, Mr. Wayne." Dollotron? Okay. Mr. O'Neill staggered into the spotlight, alone, gripping a briefcase. Beyond the harsh light, the depths of the circus tent were a black void. He squinted, trying to focus. His sleep-deprived mind was playing tricks. He thought for a moment he could see an audience. "Welcome," a voice boomed operatically. The spotlight shifted. There he was, the pig-masked man who'd summoned him, the professor. Oh no. Standing proudly behind a small boy, his blood-tinged hands finger-drumming those delicate shoulders, a pained murmur sounded from the child, muffled through a plain white face mask. At its edge, a shoreline of weeping, fused flesh, his salted slug of a tongue writhed in the mouth slit. The horror wasn't unimaginable. It was there in front of him. It was fact. Just as he was a parent and this was his son, butchered and transformed, O'Neill's stomach imploded and bent in double, retching onto the straw-bedded ground. "Daddy Man is upset," whined the professor. "Daddy Man not pleased with our work." He loosed a terrifying squeal. The young boy moaned like a busted instrument. "I've got money." O'Neill wiped the bile from his mouth, then popped the briefcase and threw it to the ground. Wads of green packed tight. "Give me my son, please." The professor shook his head. "Not your son now. My Dollotron." Before O'Neill could fathom the meaning of that word, something caught his eye. They were in the void. They were being watched. Faces shuffled closer. Plain white masks, dozens of them encircled. Sons, mothers, fathers, once like him. Oh boy, Professor Pig. I don't like that guy at all. Wow, we've already read half of them. Okay, let's keep going. Visiting hours. Quincy Sharp. Prison. The irony wasn't lost in Quincy Sharp, but that didn't mean he appreciated it. Quincy cried on the hard, cramped bed in his small, sterile cell, longing for the splendor of his city hall. He wished his master was here. Dr. Hugo Strange had awoken Quincy. lifted into a higher state of awareness, made him mayor of Gotham. The therapy, the drugs, the loss of free will, a fair price for such a gift. In return, Quincy had defended Strange through both trials. Even now, he clutched on his strangest remaining secrets, dear moments of a parted friend. "It's okay, Quincy," he heard Strange say. "I'm here." "Hugo?" Quincy asked, wiping his tears on the cheap Arkham City jumpsuit the guards made him wear. There he was, Dr. Hugo Strange, with his radiant white lab coat and eternal smile. "Quincy, my servant, my friend," Hugo said. "We don't have much time." Quincy was crying again with joy. "How, Master? How did you—" "Psychology, Quincy. Science. I'm a being of suggestion etched into your subconscious by my living self." The therapy, Quincy realized, the hypnosis, the drugs. "Stay with me, Master, please." Quincy tried to grab hold of a phantom hand. "I cannot," Strange said, looking benevolently down at Quincy, stroking his hair with a touch the prisoner couldn't feel. "But there is one last service you can perform for me. Anything, Hugo, please." "First, remove the sheet from your bed, Quincy, and tie it to the light fixture on the ceiling." "Oh, great." You can imagine what happened next. Great. Alright, the messenger dropped down onto the puddled street and stayed crouched in shadow, her hand resting on the hilt of a katana. Caution was innate, trained into every sinew and fiber of her body. She waited for the drunken couple to stagger past and approached her canvas, a wall of decaying posters. She unfolded the stencil and held it in place. The small nozzle concealed in her wrist guard released a pressurized spray of black paint. With a few waves of her hand, the image was complete. It would join the others she had spent the night emblazoning on Gotham's walls. Most people would think it was just another work of art. They wouldn't know of the war that raged. The war to bring him back, to resurrect Ra's al Ghul. Well, good luck with that. Well, actually, I guess we did technically do that. Oops. The air whistled. Instinct turned her head as a blade grazed skin and embedded itself in the center of the dripping insignia. The assassin stepped out of her throwing stance and drew a sword from her back. "You openly defy the League of Assassins? The penalty is death." Wiping the blood from her cheek, the messenger faced her enemy. "There is no league without him. That is the truth." Surveying her surroundings, the assassin approached. "You will not find his body." "What makes you think we're still looking?" The messenger unsheathed her katana. "Demon's head will live again." "Well, yeah, probably should have just let him die, but Batman doesn't kill." "Social outcast. Interesting. Why do you attack Batman? He is based. You are a..." Riddler deleted the email, and all the others like it, as prickly hot anger and shame squirmed through his insides. No point denying it. Hashtag Crusadergate had been a disastrous social media campaign. He couldn't understand it. It seemed the internet's idiotic and easily roused rabble could froth itself into a full fat cappuccino of frenzy over white knights. But offer it up a dark one on a plate, and you get a soy latte's worth of indignation at best. Didn't they understand what Batman had done? The memories rise up like bile. Riddler is back in Arkham City. Batman places an explosive hat, Riddler's own invention, on his head, forces him to march in endless circles, lest the device detonates. It's hours before Riddler realizes the trick, that the explosives have been diffused. Having borne witness to his shame, its computer was tainted now, yet Riddler paused. He still had electrical burns from the last time he angrily ripped 128 gigs of RAM from a motherboard. His search for a hammer concluded with when another email arrived to the owner of Enigmatic Holdings Limited. Gotham City Council hereby approves your purchase of the disused sewerage and water processing facilities beneath the city, it began. For the first time in months, Edward smiled. Oh, so that's where he planted all those underground death races. He got permission from the Gotham City Council. Interesting. Critter. Oh, this was when we scanned that one Riddler trophy in the Arkham headquarters where it was just a bunch of bugs, and I didn't know it was a riddle, and apparently it was. Roach wrenched against his restraints and watched the beetle skitter across Scarecrow's gloved hand. He wasn't sure what made him sicker. Scarecrow's creepy new face, or the rocking of the damn cargo container they were hidden inside. Joker would find him, surely. They couldn't have gone far from the steel mill. Fascinating creatures, aren't they? Scarecrow said, so small. Crane was holding a bug by one of its legs now, as the other 5 limbs scrambled at the air. A wave hit the boat, and the poor thing swung back and forth. No warning colors either. He dropped the bug to the floor. It scuttled towards Roach, who fought back to the urge to stamp on it. He didn't want to look afraid. Do they want their predators to fall for it? Scarecrow asked, watching another insect creep inside his palm to sink their teeth into this fragile shell. Scarecrow made a fist, crushing the insect in his hand. The beast that does so regrets it, Scarecrow explained, wiping the mashed up insect into a glass beaker. Not through sickness or death, he added chemicals to the beaker now, muddling the mixture into a greenish-black sludgy cocktail. But through the hallucinations this creature's toxic secretions cause, through the beating of their overworked heart, the adrenaline coursing through their bloodstream, through fear. He turned to Roach now, the beaker in one hand, a funnel in the other. My toxin failed me at Arkham. Together we will ensure that never happens again. I remember that boat. You remember there was a boat in Arkham City where there was a hidden panel that you had to hack with the cryptographic sequencer, and you'd go down into the thing, and we saw that guy. That guy must have been Roach. The guy that was sitting there in the chair. Maybe. I don't know. Alright, lab rat. Pyrophobia. Fear of fire. Some fears make more sense than others, Alex thought, crunching his eyes shut against the flames and retreating into the furnace corner of his cell. He read a case study once when he was sane about a man with pharmacophobia, fear of medicine. The poor man suffered from epileptic seizures, yet refused to take his pills. Madness. Counterintuitive, misfiring self-preservation instinct, rejecting the very things that preserved. The fear of fire, that made evolutionary sense. Alex confronted himself, picturing humanity's ancestors scattering across the veldt of licked flames-licked dried grass. He wasn't mad. He was just too sensitive. His phobia was just awareness of the damage that the inferno raging in front of him could do to his delicate tissues. It was real. Simon had summoned him, Alex remembered, accused him of betrayal. And now here he was, a test subject, meat for the grinder, brain matter for the thresher, more data for Stag. They stopped pumping toxin into his cell hours ago, but still the fires burned around him, a phantom wall of flame. They started closing in. Alex Sartorius screamed as the flames consumed him, screams of terror, not pain. To an outside observer, the result was slapstick, a white-coated scientist flailing at nothing. But all Alex could see was flames eating his flesh, gnawing down to the bone. Interesting. So nothing was happening to him, but because of the fear toxin, which I guess was the cloud burst, he felt like he was on fire. That's some powerful stuff. Revenant. Zach hated Mondays. He'd been working the early shift at the morgue for all 3 weeks. And he was already starting to resemble a pallid corpse. The bourbon-induced hangover certainly wasn't helping. His stomach had been growling all morning, and it was still an hour until lunch. His bowels lurched at the thought of another plate of slop from the commissary. Only this time, the accompanying growl was deeper, more resonant. From another place. He scanned the room for the source. The stiffs sometimes released pockets of gas when they started to decompose, pungent gifts from the afterlife. But this sound was different, almost like a word trying to be formed, trapped by shuddering lips. It was coming from one of the new cold storage units. Oh, is this Solomon Grundy? I think it is. I see the Solomon Grundy poster on the wall in that room. These compartments weren't supposed to have locks, but this one had 4. They weren't usually this big either, but they certainly didn't have Wayne Tech branding. The doors swung open and plumes of dry ice poured out from Zach's legs, or out around Zach's legs. As the lights flickered on, he could see the outline of a hulking corpse spread out on the floor. It was inhumanely large and breathing. Oh, and then he's just saying, bore, bore, bore. Zach slipped on the tiles and landed hard, sending his glasses skidding across the room. Feeling with his hands, he worked his way over the huge slabs of cold muscle to the wrist, as thick as a thigh. He wiped the frost off the plastic ID tags and strained to see the name, Solomon Grundy. Like the nursery rhyme. The body shifted, its giant lungs filling with ice-cold air. The voice was rough, guttural, angry, born on a Monday. So Grundy survived? What? So, if you remember in Arkham City, Penguin had Solomon Grundy in the basement of the Iceberg Lounge in the museum, and Batman fights him, and it appears as if he tears out Grundy's heart. At least that's what it looked like. And the reason he did it was because, Solomon Grundy's already dead. He's undead, so he's already died so many times. But apparently he was in the morgue and he's alive. So nothing can kill this guy, apparently. Sheesh. Office romance. What the? Oh, is this Harley Quinn? Robin stood at Oracle's side as they watched a 3D model of an inconspicuous blood cell rotate on the Bat computer's monitor. "He's still showing no symptoms," Oracle asked as she delved deeper into the cell structures. "Cell walls are intact, plasma healthy and clear." "Nothing," Tim replied. Oracle glanced over her shoulder. Tim was staring straight ahead, arms folded, the muscle in his jaw flexed. No smile, not today. He was working hard. They both were. Gotham demanded everything of them, every day. "Come on, Mr. Adams," Oracle asked, fighting off a wave of exhaustion. "What are you hiding?" "The protein channels, maybe?" Tim leant in to point at the image. When he drew his arm away, his hand grazed Barbara's neck. Barbara stopped typing, caught her breath. Tim was still. The moment drew itself out, each second marked by the clock tower's mechanical heartbeat. And then Tim turned away. "Can't do this. Not again." "Hematology never was your strong suit, huh, Drake?" Barbara joked painfully, but Tim was already gone. She sat there wondering why he didn't come back, and why she didn't try and stop him like he must have hoped she would. But why make things harder than they had to be? Gotham came first, the job. It's the choice they made. They could turn their backs on each other, but not on that. That must have been before Barbara had her accident? I don't know. Taking out the trash. Oh, that reminds me of SpongeBob. There was an episode called The Night Shift, and SpongeBob was taking out the trash at night. But obviously this is a front. I think this trash company was owned by Harvey Dent, and it was a front to their other stuff. So it says, "Garbage collectors," asked Pipes, sat in the Hell's Gate offices holding the stained second-hand uniform at arm's length, like a new parent with their first dirty diaper. "You, completely sure about this, boss?" We're sure," Dent growled from across the desk. Pipes didn't argue. It wasn't nice, Harvey speaking. You could tell after a while, the way a group of school friends can tell the pair of identical twins among them apart. It's not about the voice, not always. It's about the face. Which eye swings round faster to look at you? Which side of the mouth? The lantern jaw or the charred, twisted lips? The smile plays across first. "We need a front for the bank job," Dent said. "And you owe us, all of you." The compensation claims. Arkham City had been corrupt as hell, sure, but Pipes had run-ins with enough dirty cops to know justice flowed one way in Gotham. Well, it does if you haven't got the best lawyer the city ever saw running your class action suit from behind the scenes. "I get it, boss, I do," Pipes stammered. "It's just Hell's Gate waste disposal and legal services? Really?" Dent leant forward. Pipes tried not to shudder as the weeping skin peeled from the leather chair. "Trust me," Nice Harvey answered. "They're one and the same in this town." Because the legal team takes out the trash. I get it. Alright, we got Vicky Vale. Showtime. Live in 10, Vicky, her cameraman said. They had the steps to themselves. Huddles of reporters looked at her enviously over the police cordon. It was a technicality, really. but as a material witness to Sharp's crime, she'd given evidence at the courthouse that morning. She'd been impossible to get rid of after that. Showtime. Good evening, Gotham. I'm Vicky Vale. Behind me stands Solomon Wayne Courthouse, once part of Arkham City, today the venue in which former Mayor Quincy Sharp was acquitted of his participation in that conspiracy. I am vindicated, Sharp screamed, bursting out of the courthouse and into a bombardment of camera flashes. It was Vicky he honed in on despite his lawyer's protest. Pleased with the not guilty verdict, Quincy? Vale asked, her voice level, calm, reporter tones. Oh, I'm guilty, Sharp spluttered, of maintaining order, punishing the guilty, weaning this thankless city of its reliance on vigilante justice. What about funneling weapons into Arkham City? Vale asked, an edge to her voice now. Weapons like the rocket launcher that killed my helicopter pilot and friend. Unthinkable, Sharp said, which is precisely why I was acquitted on that and all other charges. Your journalistic objectivity has been compromised by trauma, Miss Vale. Are you sure, Quincy? Vale asked, handing him a sheet of paper, because it looks like your signature on this requisition order. Sharp froze. The cameras kept flashing. She should have said it in court, but it was her scoop after all. Interesting. One more to go. Scar tissue. What the heck is this? Oh, is this... Man, is this... Victor Zsasz? No. Victor savored the familiar warmth of atrial blood splashing his face as he eased another of Penguin's lackeys into oblivion. He wiped the blade on his victim's biker jacket, then searched his own forearm for a clean plot of flesh amid the lattice work of scars and fresh incisions. It had been an eventful night, and the blood loss was starting to drain Victor's energy. He planned to liberate just a handful of Penguin and Two-Face's men, leave the bodies in plain sight, and send a message to the Scarecrow, who seemed determined to exclude him from his plans. But when he tallied the first victim, felt the knife's cold steel, Victor knew he wouldn't be satisfied till he felled a dozen or more. Yeah, I remember those Riddler trophies, finding the guys fishing. Yep, I remember that. Sirens howled in the distance, and Zsasz looked up to see the sky illuminated by the symbol of a bat. It seemed Scarecrow's Halloween festivities had already begun. Instinctively, Victor's fingers traced the smooth patch of skin he was saving especially for Batman. Let Scarecrow have his fun tonight, he thought. Batman would no doubt humiliate him and the others who'd followed his farcical plan. Then Zsasz would find him. That patch of skin wouldn't be smooth for long. Oh, it's going to be smooth for the rest of your life, dude, because you're never killing Batman. Nice try. Okay. Well, that's all the Arkham City stories. Or, I keep calling them Arkham City stories. Gotham City stories. I'm thinking of Arkham City. It only took us 2 parts to read all of them. Oh boy. I think I read all the ones in Arkham City in 1 part. So, or actually, I don't even think I read them in 1 part. I think I just read them as I was unlocking them, which is what I probably should have done in this game, but oh well. It would have been easier because I would have spread them out between all these parts instead of having them all at once, but it's okay. Luckily, what we can do now is we can finally move on to beating the story. Because if you remember, our current objective is to go to Panessa Studios because Commissioner Gordon's voice was just used to activate the security system at that studio, which means Scarecrow is there. And we gotta get there because Robin, remember, is still in that cell that we put him in a long time ago. So we gotta save Robin and Gordon and stop Riddler. So that's what we're gonna do in the next couple parts. Hopefully we can finish this game pretty soon, but I don't know. I have no idea how much is left. It might be 2 parts, it might be more. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video, a little bit of story time, I guess. But yeah, it was fun. We learned a lot. We learned some things about Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. Some things I didn't really want to know, like Professor Pig and Victor Zsasz. Didn't really care about those stories, but you know, we learned some good stuff too. So, but yeah, if you liked the video, I hope you'll leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you're new by hitting that subscribe button. And then you can click on that notification bell, set it to all notifications on so you never miss any of my videos. And I will catch you in the next videos so that we can take on Scarecrow. So I'll see you all later.